12 rounds, ding ding. Sick and tired of the whole damn.
How's it going, everybody? Nicholas Atkin here from the South China Morning Post MMA's post-fight podcast. I am here with Mr JHK, John Hyon-ko, over in Seoul, South Korea. John, how's it going, man?
Good. You know, I'm doing my best on this so-called year of the lockdown, I guess, if you want to call it that.
That's awesome. I like the name. Well, we are going to talk a little bit about all the crazy stuff that's happened in the last 24 hours with the UFC. So much to talk about. I guess we got to start with UFC 249. Justin Gaethje is stepping in to replace Khabib Nurmagomedov against Tony Ferguson. What's your immediate thoughts on that matchup?
Immediate thoughts is it's a great matchup. It's a matchup that everybody wanted to see eventually, and we get to just see it a little quicker than projected. You know, of course, we wanted to have Habib fight Ferguson, but it seems like that fight is probably never going to happen in our lifetime. And if it does, it's probably going to be past. It's going to end up probably like let's say like Pacquiao and Mayweather. It just, you know, it's just going to be delayed until it does happen, and then we just don't really care about it anymore. But the matchup between Gaethje and Ferguson, I love it, man. It's going to be violent, and when you're a fight fan, you want violence. Don't you want violence?
I want violence. I think you want violence too, huh?
Definitely.
Yeah, and as you said, we do potentially still get that Khabib-Ferguson matchup down the line. It sounds like UFC President Dana White is targeting that for September. Do you think that's too soon, or will we not see that until 2021?
I feel like it's going to be too soon. I feel that if Ferguson loses, then that fight doesn't even happen, right? It's whoever wins this fight will probably fight Habib. And I feel like going into this fight, Gaethje is the favorite. I like Gaethje in this fight. The stylistic matchup, it favors Gaethje in many ways, and Gaethje has that power that Habib does not have. And I feel like he could get it done on the feet. This doesn't even have to go to the ground. Gaethje doesn't even. If you watch Gaethje's fights, he doesn't even go to the ground. He'll take them to the ground, but it's not really like he's gonna stay there too long and just play around. And I feel like Ferguson, that's what he wants to do. He's crazy on the feet, but I don't know. Gaethje can sit in the pocket and throw bombs and take shots. And if Ferguson plays that game, it's gonna be good night, Irene, like Chevello likes to say.
Indeed. Well, if you're Tony Ferguson, you've probably been preparing for Khabib, haven't you, since you beat Donald Cerrone last year? Does that again favor Justin Gaethje?
Oh, definitely, it favors Justin Gaethje. I believe this is just speculation, but I think Justin Gaethje had been preparing for this fight for the last month or so. I don't think he's just been sitting around. Before that, he was probably training on a daily basis anyways, but they have the same manager. Both of, you know, Ali is Habib's manager and Gaethje's manager, and if somebody would know what's happening behind the scenes, it would be Ali. And if Ali knew that Habib was going to end up going back to Russia and not taking this fight, he would have definitely picked up the phone and gave Justin Gaethje a ring and told him, "Hey, you better be ready to fight at 249 because Habib is probably not going to fight, and you're the next guy in line. So let's get ready." Because if you think about it, Gaethje doesn't take short notice fights, but this is a major short notice fight. And people are saying, "Oh, he's taking a chance, he's taking a gamble," but I feel like it's not a gamble. I feel like he's been ready for this fight all along, and he's gonna go in there and win the interim title versus Ferguson.
Yeah, and if you add an interim world title into it, it makes it a bit less of a gamble or something more of an attractive proposition. And Justin himself, he said to ESPN's Brett Okamoto, he's really had this in the back of his mind ever since January when he was sparring with Neil Magny and Austin Hubbard, who fought in UFC 248 in Houston. So he's perhaps more ready than you would be if you were just taking this fight on whatever it is, 10 days notice. And he says he's already dropped about 12 pounds. He's got another 13 to go. Do you think there could be any issues with the weight cut? Any misses from Justin there?
No, I have confidence in Justin to go in there and be a professional and make the weight. He's a lifelong wrestler, and these wrestlers, they know how to cut weight and be back to normal 24 hours later and be ready to compete. Justin's gonna be in there, and he's gonna be violent and give us a hell of a fight. And actually, most likely, a more entertaining fight than Habib and versus Ferguson.
And a pretty stacked card elsewhere, isn't it? Whatever you feel about this card going ahead at all, it's a pretty good one in terms of the fights we're going to see. They've really stacked it with some top stuff, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at the card right now, and it's a decent pay-per-view. It's lacking one of the big names, so to say. It's lacking a Conor or a John Jones or a Daniel Cormier or someone like that. But overall, it's a major card with it's a fight fan friendly card. I don't know if it's a casual friendly fight card, but it's a fight fan friendly card.
All right, and it's also a secret location. We're supposed to not really know where the hell it is, but I think there are some reports out there saying it's going to be at the Tachi Palace Resort Casino on an Indian Native American reservation in Northern California. This seemingly allows them to bypass having the jurisdiction of the State Athletic Commission, right?
Yes. I don't know. Them reporting that, is that going to hurt the UFC and block them from actually holding the event if they know it's at Tachi Palace, which is in Central California? And from what I heard, in California, you can't have more than 5 people in one location. And also Tachi, if you go to their website, it says there that they're closed down, I believe, due to the coronavirus. So I don't know. Maybe the UFC is playing some games with the media and throwing out their fake news to divert the real location. I feel like that's something that Dana White would do.
That would be great. But yeah, it sounds like the fighters aren't even being told where it is, and they're just going to be flown in wherever they end up going. That's probably not even the craziest news that's come out, though, is it? Let's talk about the private island, fight island, whatever you want to call it. Dana White's saying he's very close to securing an island to host international fighters who can't get into the US. It's like something out of Mortal Kombat or Enter the Dragon, isn't it? It's just crazy.
I love it. I love that he's actually thought of buying or obtaining, or I don't even know what he's doing with it or how he's getting it. But a lot of rich people. He's a rich person. He's a top 5% or 2% richest people in the world, right? He's like hundreds of millions of dollars rich. So why not go out there and buy an island? Maybe he was already thinking about buying an island anyways, and he's just like, okay, this is just gonna fast forward my decision making, and I'm buying this island, and I'm gonna build an octagon on it, and I'm gonna build a basically a makeshift stadium, not even a stadium, just a apex. Now we got a second apex now. That's where the island's going to be, the second apex for the UFC. And yeah, it's just he's getting a lot of criticism for this. And of course, there's a pandemic going around, and people are sick, and people are dying, and all this. The world is in not really necessarily chaos, but it's in a bad condition, right? But with him moving forward and putting on these shows, it's up to them to do it the right way. You know what I mean? Of course, they're going to get criticism no matter what happens. And the fighters, from what I heard, is that if they don't want to fight, it's okay with the UFC. The UFC is not going to penalize people for not fighting. But if you do want to fight, and there's a lot of guys out there and girls out there that need a paycheck and they need to fight, and they're going to fight at an undisclosed location against maybe an opponent that they don't know who it is, they're gonna go out there and do it. And why don't you let them go out there and get a paycheck? Of course, there's a lot of backlash for like the what is it? The medical procedure, I guess, the clearance for or testing for the COVID-19 and all of that. But I'm pretty sure the UFC is taking that all into consideration, and they're gonna try their best to not fuck up, because if they get people sick, that company is gonna tank. Think about it; they're taking a huge risk by doing this.
I think you're right. I think they're taking a huge risk. Right now, this is kind of flying under the radar. If this was the NFL, the NBA, something like that, there's no way they could be getting away with this. But there's not much mainstream news coverage of this right now, unless you think a fighter would contract it, especially one of the headliners like a Ferguson. Imagine that. And then there's an outbreak on this island or whatever, or in the Tachi Palace. That would bring serious negative headlines that you've got to think for the UFC. Is the risk worth it? Is it irresponsible of them to be taking this risk?
It is irresponsible for them to take this risk, but I love that they're taking the risk. I don't know why. I feel like there's people that want to fight, they want to get paid. You give them that opportunity, and they're going to allow that opportunity to be there on that island. I'm just wondering if Dana White's going to be on that island, because I don't think he said that he's going to be on the island. He's saying that he's obtaining the island and the fights are going to be on the island, but is he going to be there? That's the big question. Because if he's there, then I'm thinking, okay, he's got some big balls. Because if people get contracted with the COVID-19 on the island, they can't leave the island. And then if he's on there, that means he's going to get contracted with the virus too. So he's like, hey, I'm going to put myself out there. But I don't know. There's a lot of questions coming in. But a bright side to this, or a silver lining, is if it's on a private island, most likely it's in international waters. So there's no visa issues. So any fighter can fly in to the island. Number two, there's probably no taxes. I don't know. Maybe there's no taxes, and that's huge for a fighter, not paying taxes.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of bonuses to it, a lot of negatives. I think all I'm thinking about is, what if these guys and girls go there? They're going to have to quarantine for 14 days wherever they go back. And can they even get back into their country? What if a lockdown happens wherever they've come from? What if the situation changes? I think you've seen Dana White day by day, the whole situation. We're having to make plans on the fly. There's too many things up in the air for me. I don't know.
There is a lot of things up in the air. I just take it day by day. I don't try to attack the UFC too much, because at the end of the day, they're taking a massive risk, man. They could have just shut it down. We're not going to do any events, and took the safe route, and financially didn't take any risk, nothing. But Dana White's like, man, I'm taking it to the end of the earth, and and I'm gonna take all the risk, and if you want to take the risk too, come and fight. And that's the decision the fighters have to make, right? The fans, most of them, they don't care. Fans don't care. You know what I mean? They just want to see fights. It's not like the fans are thinking about the COVID-19 testing procedures. They're probably not even thinking about their own COVID-19 testing procedures, right? They probably hasn't even got tested yet themselves. So, do you think they're going to be worried about the fighters? No, it's mostly the media that's worried about it, and they're justified to worry about that. But I don't know. Man, to me, I'm always looking at like the risk takers, and fighters are risk takers. And when Dana's doing that and he's taking big risks, I'm not supporting it, but I'm very intrigued by it.
Yeah, I think you're right. But we're all fans at heart, even in the media. But we have to ask these questions. I know a lot of the fans, perhaps all of the fans, really want to see some fights. It's been a few weeks now since they've had any, and it was a bit bleak, not knowing when they'd be back. But yeah, we have to ask these questions. I think if the UFC or MMA wants to be taken seriously as a mainstream sport, which it's always, fans are always begging, oh yeah, why don't we get the serious coverage? Why do you still think we're just this blood sport in a cage? Then you have to take things like this seriously. That's just my opinion, but I see your side of it. Anyway, where does this all leave Conor McGregor with the shakeup of UFC 249?
It just leaves him in the same spot. This could actually benefit him at the end of the day, right? Let's say Justin Gaethje wins this fight. Let's say he wins this fight. I feel like that gives a better argument for Conor McGregor to get the fight with Khabib. Because now he doesn't have that barrier. The barrier was Tony Ferguson, because that's the fight that we all wanted to see. And he's the justified number one contender, the former interim, champion. And if he loses to Justin Gaethje, I feel like in September, did you say that earlier? September or October or whenever, when Khabib returns, Conor's going to be fighting him. That's just what I see happening if Justin wins. I don't think Justin will get the next shot.
So you think they'll do Conor v Khabib for the main UFC lightweight championship, and then winner gets Gaethje to unify the lightweight interim title?
Yes. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel that's the plan. If Ferguson wins, then Ferguson fights Khabib. And that's if Ferguson can fight Khabib. If the date, you know how that works. If the dates don't line up right and Conor's ready to take on Khabib, I feel like the UFC is going to push Khabib to fight Conor. So Conor's in a good position no matter what. Yeah, it's it's wild times in the lightweight division.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think it also depends if they have a war. Gaethje and Ferguson, 5 rounds, they beat the hell out of each other. They both got medical suspensions for 6 months for whatever broken bones. That also plays into Conor's hands in terms of getting the Khabib fight, right?
Oh, it's major factors right there. Someone could rip their knee apart. Someone could break an arm. Someone could break an ankle. It's just anything could happen, and you could be out for 6 months, 8 months. Especially a knee. You could be out for a year, even if you win the fight. Some guys have won fights, and then they've ripped up their knee, and they're gone for most of the year. So it could happen. But Conor, I think he's training to fight for the title. And he's training right now. He's putting up videos. He's been a little bit more active on social media with these little, I don't know, these workouts that he's doing. But I feel like he's in the gym. He wants to fight. But there's other fights for Conor too. You never know. That might not work out. And then Conor needs to take another fight. And there's a lot of fights for him to take, especially at 170.
Yeah, I literally just wrote a column on that. What is Conor's going to be? And I was thinking he's kind of shut out in lightweight. If they're going ahead with that, he's out without a fight. And then if you're looking up at welterweight, Kamaru Usman's probably going to fight George Masvidal, right, for the title next. Who does that leave? Nate Diaz, potentially, the trilogy. One thought I had was maybe Dustin Poirier, but Dustin looks like he's going to be matched up with Dan the Hangman Hooker next. So, yeah, Conor really could be left out until next year, depending on how the cards fall. Yeah,
and Conor has this is the options I feel like he has. If the timing's right, he's going to get the lightweight title shot versus Khabib, if it plays out that way with Justin winning and all that. But if, let's say, Ferguson wins, he goes in there, submits Gaethje in the first round, wins the interim title again, which is ridiculous. And then he's going to be matched up with Khabib later this year. That leaves Conor with 2 options. He has 2 options. Masvidal, I don't think Masvidal is going to fight for the title. I don't think he's the clear number 1 contender. So I feel like there's 2 fights you can make at 170. There's Masvidal the BMF, right? That's a big fight. That's a main event pay-per-view fight right there versus Masvidal, and then Nate Diaz. No matter what, Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor's names together, it sells all day, every day. No matter any time of the year, people hear those names together, they get interested. And I'm talking about casual fans. You know what I mean? A lot of people probably that watch the sport closely, they probably say Nate Diaz doesn't deserve that. He just lost to Masvidal. But casual fan, that money talks, bullshit walks, right? And Nate Diaz is money for Conor McGregor, and vice versa. So those are the options I see for Conor McGregor. What do you think? What do you think is like the biggest payday? Because I'm pretty sure Conor's looking for the payday.
Well, this is something I was thinking about as well. If you're Dana White, if you're the UFC, do you want to waste a McGregor payday on some stupid island fight where no one's going to be there? Or do you want to pull in another $10 million gate like you did against Donald Cerrone in Las Vegas in January? Why rush it? Wait, see how things play out. Maybe by the end of the year, they were able to get an arena somewhere in the US, if not maybe somewhere else in the world, and pull in one of those monster gates as well as one of those monster pay-per-view buys that they do. I think he did at least $1 million for the Cerrone fight. He's done $2 million before for the first Habib fight and for the second Nate fight. He is the cash cow. I think you need to be smart about that and hold off. And as you said, the Nate Diaz fight is money whenever you do it. So why rush it? I don't mind waiting until the end of the year or next year.
I feel like this thing, because from what I've seen of the response to the coronavirus, right? Right now they're working on a bunch of vaccines and cures, right? And some of them are working now, and people are getting cured or better. From the sick people are getting better. So I feel at the latest, at the end of the summer, we should be back to normal. And why not? September, October, November, December. You got 4 months right there where you could put that fight together. Any fight, a big fight in Las Vegas. I feel Conor is only going to fight in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile. That's the only place I see him ever fighting, unless they do a massive stadium show somewhere in Europe. He'll never fight in Russia. That's not going to happen. But I feel like, I don't think Conor's going to ever fight in any Muslim country. Did he fight in Abu Dhabi? No, that was Dustin Poirier, right? So I don't feel like Conor's ever going to fight in a Muslim country, but in the US, Las Vegas, or maybe in Ireland. But it looks like he's just going to be sticking to Las Vegas. That's pretty much his home. And $10 million gate, what is the pay-per-view? Like, I don't even know how many pay-per-views he sells. Maybe 1 million, more than 1 million if he fights Nate. Even Masvidal, I think I could see them pulling 1 million off that too. So exciting times for Conor. It's kind of weird. Like, he comes back, wins one fight, and now he's just back in the forefront of big paydays again. It's cool to see. Like me, I feel like him being ranked is not correct. Like, it's not proper, because he's actually ranked, I think, number 3 in the lightweight division, but he hasn't fought as a lightweight for a few years, and the last time he fought, he lost. But I was talking to Dan Hooker about this last week, and I was like, because Dan Hooker's ranked 5th in the lightweight division. I said, Dustin Poirier's there, Gaethje's there, but Conor's ranked number 3 or number 4, and I was like, I don't feel that's right. And Dan was like, nah, Conor being ranked is good for the division. Like, he's arguing that, and Conor's ranked higher than him, and he's like, no, it's good for the division. He needs to be there. He needs to be ranked, and it's gonna draw more attention. I'm just like, he makes a good argument, and I believe that. So just Conor is it's. I never thought that we would be talking about him at the end of this year.
Yeah, I think one good thing that's come out of this was, for me, he essentially skipped the queue or cut in the line, so to speak, ahead of Justin Gaethje. Now Gaethje gets the shot that I think many people thought he deserved. But the problem was I wanted to see Conor v Gaethje to make that eliminator for whoever comes out of Ferguson Habib. It just made more sense with MMA math. But anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, as I said, it's been a crazy day for the UFC. Who knows what else is going to happen? We've still got, what, 10 days before UFC 249, wherever the hell it's going to be broadcast from. Hopefully nothing else falls through, right? There's we got Rose Namajunas against Jessica Andrade. We got Francis Ngannou v Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Calvin Kattar, Jeremy Stevens. Some great fights, huh? Which other ones are you looking forward to most?
Vicente Luque is fighting Nico Price. That's a very good fight.
That'll be good.
Yeah, that Jeremy Stevens versus Calvin Kattar. Yeah, Francis Ngannou, Jairzinho. These are some monster fights. You know, even Michael Johnson versus Kama Worthy is a decent fight, and that's like buried in the prelims. You know, Sam Alvey's kicking off the show. That's very rare. You know what I mean? That's like, you know, that fight's probably not going to go more than a round or two. It's pretty insane the type of card that they put together, but I think that they needed to do that because there were, you know, with Habib falling out, they just said, man, we got to just try to stack this up. Now I'm interested. Yeah, like you said, we have 10 days left until the actual event. Next Monday or Tuesday, we get to find out where they are exactly. And is media even going to be at the event? Like, I'm pretty sure ESPN is probably going to be the only media at the event, right? Because they're the broadcasting company for the UFC. So I don't know if they're really considered the media, right? They are media, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, Dana said that a few people in the media have asked him if they can go, and he's gonna say yes or no to presumably the ones he likes and wants there. But that's another thing. Do you want a bunch of journalists there? It's just adding to the number of people, isn't it?
Yeah,
they need to keep.
That's right.
If you can only have, say, whatever it is, 50 people in the building, you've already got how many coaches and cornermen, referees, judges, camera people, staff, production staff. I'm intrigued to see how they'll pull this off without crossing every regulation that the CDC has given. And Dana says we're following these procedures from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States. Do you think it's possible, or are they telling some lies here?
I think it's possible, and Dana White can call Donald Trump. And that's what Dana White has in his back pocket is Donald Trump. And if he could not pull this off, I feel he already went to Donald Trump and went to the proper channels to understand like the repercussions of him putting on an event. And Dana probably debated that in his mind and figured, hey, there's more pros than cons to this. I could put on the show. If Donald Trump told him like, hey, don't do it, don't put on the show, I'm guaranteeing that Dana White would probably shut it down. But he's going through with it. Or is he honey dicking us? Is he just like playing this promotion against us, and the whole time he knows the show's not even gonna happen? But the UFC is getting all this media and publicity right now because no other sports are going on. Could he be playing us?
Interesting. It could be playing us, but I think we'll see from pay-per-view buys, from Google searches, how much actual interest there is from people to watch these fights in empty arenas. Because, like I told you, I did a podcast with you on Kumite TV the other night. I was watching WrestleMania, the WWE, and just didn't seem right in an empty studio instead of with 80,000 people in a stadium, man. I don't want to see empty arena fights. Doesn't feel right. We'll see what happens. Some people may just enjoy it. I guess you're going to hear every punch, every whack, every thud, every knockout's going to be that much more louder. It could be interesting. But anyway, I think we've talked about it enough. We were just going to hope that nothing else happens before April 18th. Thank you very much, John, for joining me. Give yourself some plugs, please. How can people follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the same, at JHKMMA. Go to my YouTube, type in my name, John Hyon-ko, or type in Kumite TV. It's in the back right here. And you could subscribe to my channel. I have interviews with fighters from all over the world, coaches, managers, anybody to do with the fight game. I talk to them, ask them the questions that I want to ask them, and try to get some good answers out of them. So hopefully you can go over there and enjoy some of those. But other than that, nothing else. I'm just trying to do what I can in these times of no events.
Yeah, definitely go and check out John. He works extremely hard, great hustle, always got great interviews. And hopefully, man, we'll talk to you again. See you soon. Thanks very much for joining us.